Hi, welcome to Pivot with PJ. This is your host PJ. I have Sankari Sudhar with me. Where does the journey start?
After getting into motherhood, only then I understood that.
What would you tell them called as being overqualified to become a homemaker, to build a home?
India has the highest number of overqualified housewives in the world.
How are the men taking it?
I might get so many no's from men.
I'm PJ and I'm here to navigate the bends of the roads with you. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get on this ride together on Pivot with PJ. Hi, welcome to another episode of Pivot with PJ. This is your host PJ. I have Sankari Sudhar with me today as our guest. Sankari is the founder of Overqualified Housewives. Started off as a community and then eventually grew into a platform for women to get back into the workforce. She supports more than 20,000 women become financially independent. Being a mother and a woman herself, she understands the challenges women go through to come back to workforce once they take a break. She's doing a fantastic job supporting the community. She is a computer science engineer from one of the premium colleges in Chennai. She worked for 8 years as a techie in Infosys before taking this plunge. What started off as a hobby, I suppose, has grown into something that I guess you can call your life's mission. Welcome, Shankari. I'm very eager to hear about you and how this journey started with Overqualified Housewives. Perhaps that's a great place to start, and then we'll kind of hear from you about your views on how women transition away from and then back into workforce and what challenges they're facing. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But we'll start with how it all started with Overqualified Housewives.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here, PJ, in your podcast, and it's my pleasure to be here. Overqualified housewives, as you mentioned, it was not just an idea that just came and hit me, right? Like many engineers, I was an engineer too. I always say this because we are a country of engineers now. Everybody goes to an engineering college, and everybody, want to be into IT. So I went ahead and did the same. To getting into motherhood, only then I understood that it's not going to be very easy. It will take some extra effort, energy, and everything, in order to pursue the same career which I was doing before. Frankly speaking, I didn't know how to go ahead and do that. So I took a career break. I was very scared. I didn't want to underperform in both the roles as a mother or as an employee. And I took a break for around 1.5 years, and it was not easy at all. Every day I was filled with doubts. I thought that everybody else were growing except me. That's when I thought, okay, why not start something, right? Instead of just sitting and worrying about, where my life went, why not start acting? So that's when I started looking for opportunities, particularly opportunities which can provide flexibility. I started learning a lot about freelancing. But the thing was, I was into IT for around 8 years, but I never knew about freelancing. And I didn't have the capabilities or the skills which needed to freelance. That was a big hit because if I have to upskill myself, if I have to prepare my portfolio to an extent to meet that competition, it will take a long time. So that's why I didn't want to pursue freelancing as a career. And then I thought, why not start some franchise, a proven concept, right? But at that point of time, with the level of confidence I had on me, I was not ready to invest few lakhs and start something of my own. So that's when I was looking and searching for answers. In fact, I used to ask my husband every day, give me a business idea. Tell me a business idea. You're talking to a lot of clients. You are meeting a lot of people. Why not you give me a business idea? And, thankfully, one day I stumbled upon an article by Business Standard, and it mentioned that India, a country of overqualified housewives. It was mentioned that India has the highest number of overqualified housewives in the world, which means they are not qualified to be a housewife, meaning they have good degrees, they have good education, but still they are at home because of one or other reasons. So that's when this idea came, like, why not? I am an overqualified housewife myself, so why not solve this problem. At least try solving it, right? So that's how I got into entrepreneurship. Yeah, after 1.5 years, I'm talking to you after touching around 27,000 women as of today.
Wow, that's incredible. In 1.5 years, that's fantastic, Shankari. First of all, congratulations for getting to where you are in such a short time. But also, thanks for being vulnerable. Being a economically, socially privileged male, I can't even begin to pretend that I can understand or empathize. How women feel in different phases, particularly during maternity, kind of physiological and psychological changes, and challenges that you have to face. But I also have very strong women in my family who have overcome significant challenges and hurdles personally, in the society, in the family, and so on, and come out on the other side achieving their whatever mission in life at that point of time was for them. So I made a promise to myself that I'll be at the least sensitive and make an honest effort to try to understand, if not empathize. So that's the mindset and that's the spirit I'm going to bring to this conversation. So please do forgive me and excuse me if I sound a little bit shallow. It's only because I come from a position of curiosity, not having experienced any of the challenges that you would have faced, or even experienced that mindset, right? So with that context, I also want to ask: overqualified housewives, right? There could be women who find making a home. My mother is one of them who rejected building a career for herself, even though she had the opportunity, because she wanted to build a home. Is there anything called as being overqualified to become a homemaker, to build a home, right? For those who make that choice, how would this make them feel? Is it in a way not grading women who make that choice as somewhat inferior? I don't know if I'm putting the question right, but I hope you understand the spirit of the question. What
I
is it
got
that
it.
you what would you say about that?
100%. So, you have asked the right question here because, we are not putting down housewives. See, yeah, there are two kinds of women whom I am seeing nowadays. So, one is as your mother, my mother, they chose to be a housewife. They want to make their home, and they are happy doing it, keeping the integral part of the family. That is one category. It is our own choice. If a girl chooses to be a housewife, she can do that, right? There is nothing wrong in it. But there is another kind where they are not having a choice, or though it is their own choice. See, in my case, I chose to be a overqualified housewife. I chose to be an housewife for some time. Okay, nobody pushed that on me. My husband didn't push it. My in-laws didn't ask me to take only homemaking, but I did that. So, like me, there are many women, but we are not 100% satisfied with just being at home, making the family, taking care of them. We somewhere internally we believe that we are more than that, or we can do few more things for our abilities. So this overqualified housewife name is for them. For me, according to me, any housewife is overqualified to be just a housewife. That's what I would say. Because
Right.
even my mother, though she was at home taking care of us, she always had another thing in order to keep her financially stable. She didn't study much, but she was stitching clothes. She was doing some kind of job from home.
Hmm.
And she always had money. So that is why we always say that it's okay, it's our own choice, but we should not be in that guilt, or after 15 years or 16 years we cannot blame this on our children, saying that because of you I was at home, right? So that is the main thing, PJ. That's why if we have that passion other than taking care of our home, I think we have to go ahead and do that, and we should have the flexibility to do it.
Incredible. So this is something that I've, in fact, my mom used to do the same. She used to stitch, she used to bake, and
Yeah.
do she used to go one class or the other to learn some new skill. Some of them translated to some side hustle. Some of them was just useful for her, just to keep her sane and all of that. But the point I was trying to make is, Shankari, you're absolutely right. I think the any woman is overqualified to whatever she does. The potential is so huge. We have not even started scratching the surface when it comes to realizing the woman power, the potential. Every woman in my family, perform way above and way more than all the men in my family. So I'm humbly submitting to that. I believe it's a fact. I understand the term itself is a conscious choice that you might have made, even though you've kind of adopted it, inspired from one of the news articles. But I'm sure you've thought it through fully why you're doing it, and what it inspires when people come across that term. And thanks for explaining it also. Right. One thing I wanted to check with you is how are the men taking it? How so when you are proposing an alternative path for overqualified housewives, for women stay-at-home moms, or women who've never thought of building a career, who want to kind of be a homemaker and all of that, and at some point they decide they want to explore, what kind of message, what kind of support they get, and you also hear from the men in the family, or lack of it, support or lack of it. Yeah.
That's again another good question, because initially when I started, I thought that so this name, as you mentioned, we consciously chose this name because it tells the story. It tells without even explaining about the whole idea. It will immediately reveal what it is. And I thought that I might get so many no's from men. But to my surprise, we got a lot of support. Several
Mm,
men stepped up and they came to us saying that they want their wife to be enrolled, they want their mother to be enrolled, sister, daughter. We get a lot of calls, we got a lot of support. And they also think that when their wife is occupied in something, right? This we have experienced in our own personal life. Because when I was completely at home and when I was not so happy being a homemaker, I was doing my job well as a housewife. But the thing was, I was not happy 100%. So that was reflecting in our personal life. And many families experience the same. So when we announced this, several men, they were like, okay, give some work for my wife so that she'll be occupied. That was the take. She will not disturb me anymore. So please do something so that
not sure if the right place to come from, but it's okay, whatever works.
yeah, nowadays we are getting the other side of the response wherein people are telling like overqualified housewives is a term used by capitalists who want to tax women. They
Mm,
are not happy to leave women. That's why they want to tax them, and that's why you are trying to brainwash women into something else other than homemaking because you
mm,
want their money. This is the other thing. And few men are not so happy when their wife can do things on her own.
mm,
So that kind of stories are also there. But to see it as a whole, I think most of the people are very much welcoming. Now people are talking about these things. A man and a woman is talking about empowering and seeing how a woman can transform her life. So these kind of conversation never happened before. Right, so
mm,
men they know that these things are there. They know when they are getting married, they know that they are marrying a girl who has done this degree, who is capable of these many things, right? So most of the times we are getting support, but at times, yeah, we are getting some negative things as well. But it's part of the journey. It's okay.
mm. So, where do you, speaking of journey, where does the journey start? When do you come in, right? See, when I can think of a woman's journey in kind of similar situation, either they came out of workforce, uh, maybe most likely in these cases are through during maternity, and they decide to leave workforce for good. Do you kind of cross paths before they decide to come back to
Mhm.
workforce? Is there some level of influencing and inspiration that you offer, or do you kind of come in after they decide they want to come to workforce? So where do you start walking with them in their journey,
Okay.
and how do you do that?
So when we started Overqualified Housewives, we thought that we will be enabling and giving opportunities to women who are ready to restart, like who have upskilled themselves, who know, what they are getting into, who has some industry knowledge and all. But after starting and after working in the field for some time, we understood there is a fair share of women who are very well educated but never been to a job. They have never been to a job either because of marriage. After their marriage, they were not allowed to step out of their homes. So they were at home, started making, went into the family way. They have children now. Now they are going to school. And now they started thinking about themselves. Okay, what will happen to me if I'm being this forever? That is other kind. And few were not able to pursue their career because of their husbands or families relocation. According to the market standard or whatever companies we are talking, PJ, most of the companies are in urban cities, tier one, maximum tier two. But there are a lot of people who are getting good education from tier three, tier two. So we are not serving them, particularly women. So, we help them. We help them once they have decided to restart their career. So that decision, many times it happens on the go. Like they will be thinking in their mind, someday I have to restart. Then because of what message we are putting out, we are talking a lot about our vision. We are talking about real life stories of women who have changed their career because of overqualified housewives. When they see such stories, when they see a lot of examples in front of their eyes, they are getting that motivation and they are getting that push to go ahead and do that. So that's how many women are getting restarted, I would say, because nobody is like, they are always in that wavering mind wherein, is this okay? Can I restart at this point of time? What will my family say? Will they judge me if I restart now after 10 years of break? Because this will be the first question, PJ. When we go and tell our family that we want to restart, I want to restart, the very next question will be, why now? You were okay so far. What happened to you suddenly? Who brainwashed you, or what made you to take this decision? How will you able to manage everything? Are you not ready to give 100% attention to your family? What happened? So these questions will be asked to a lot of women. So they should have the answer to all these. So it is not so easy to answer all these. It is not an easy issue, or it is not even an easy problem to solve. It's a very complex problem in terms of it is in the societal, conditioning. We have been conditioned in a specific way. Only few families, it may probably in the creamy layer, are are doing well. So most of the people are into that conditioning, in different degrees probably, but yeah, it is very much there. So that's where we are working on.
No, no, absolutely. I think the most potent weapon the patriarchal mindset has is the guilt trap, right?
Yeah,
Constantly keeping the woman feeling guilty so that they have the control. It's unfortunate, and but it's very powerful too, and it's important for us to understand the mechanics of that, so that we can break out of it. The women
correct,
can break out of it, right?
correct.
But it's true, and it's crucial that we do it, and it's very heartening for me to hear, Shankari, that you're not only kind of facilitating this change, but you're also inspiring the change. You're also inspiring somebody to initiate, start thinking about it, or somebody who is kind of in a paradox, in a dilemma. You're giving them clarity, and
Yes,
and and from clarity to purpose to action. I think it's an incredible journey that you're walking them through. Right?
exactly.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we talked about the support system, in certain cases positive, in certain cases lack of it for women. What are women feeling about it? So what is, so not just other women, but the women, your target audience, your target community, right? We briefly touched upon it, that there is a sense of guilt, there is a sense of insufficiency, if that's the right word, dissatisfaction. Am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I doing and am I doing justice to my qualification? If I chase that, am I doing justice to family? All these dilemmas, right? We talked a little bit about that, but can you go to slightly deeper in, do they come in their own way, right, to pursue this, in addition to all the pressures that come from outside?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, many a times it is us who is stopping our way. See, when we are in that career break, right? I want to tell something here, PJ. Taking a career break or transitioning into something else is itself a boon, I would say, because these kind of choices are not given to a man, right? A woman can choose her second innings. She is given a choice. She has been given a choice to do, in many families. But in as a whole, if we see, when a man want to transition into a, you are an an exceptional, I would say, exception, because yeah, it is not so common. It's not so common because a man being the breadwinner of the family, he is expected to be in a certain way and he cannot change his career in whatever way he wanted to, right? But women are given this opportunity, but at the same time, this career break does a lot of things in their mind and they lose their self confidence and they don't see themselves as the same person who was there before. I was not seeing myself as the same Shankari who I know for so many years. Suddenly, there will be some two people. One person will be that dream kind of person who was the go-getter. The other version will be like, oh, I'm so inferior. I don't know things. I cannot do anything on my own. I'm so dependent on my husband or my children. What will they do? All those doubts. What if I go and what if they reject? If I appear in an interview, what will they do? So that those kind of questions will have a severe impact on one's self-confidence. So that itself will be stopping their way, PG. This is number one thing. And second thing is they just keep dreaming, but they don't do. Many of us, right? They will keep thinking, but they don't take the action. So for my insecurity, which I had before, the main reason was inaction. I was not acting on my idea. I was so scared. Like, what will happen if I take that step ahead? And everything is in the mind, right? The moment I stopped seeing myself as a victim of my circumstances, I think the way was open. And this happens with a lot of women. So they stand in front of their own journey. So they themselves don't believe in their own capabilities. And they just imagine that people will be talking this, that, and everything. The third thing, PJ, which I have noticed in many of the women is they are so scared of judgment. They are so scared that what will others say. They want to be the good girl, whatever. They don't want to be seen as a bad girl, right? So there is a syndrome called good girl syndrome, wherein a woman wants to be a good girl in front of everybody's eyes. That is not going to happen. So when I decided to pursue my career, my second innings, I was perceived as a bad girl by many of the my close circle. They were not so okay with it. Like they were doubting, like what happened to you suddenly because you have a very small baby, just 15 months old. You chose to be a housewife. Why not you continue the same till he goes to school? What happened suddenly? That innate belief, right? I cannot talk in this way, or I cannot share my opinion, or what will I hurt them if I talk back? All those things was stopping me for a while. And then one day I decided I'm going to talk my mind. This is my life. So I just stopped being a good girl. Maximum, what will they say? They will say that I'm an arrogant person, or what else they can deem me, right? Nothing else to say. So I went again and do that. So that kind of control and that kind of mindset is not with many of the women. So they are not being raised in that way. They are raised to obey, they are raised to listen, not to act or talk. So
Right.
these three things plays a major role, I would say.
Wow. Yeah. So, and some of these things are not suddenly developed because of this transition. A lot of these things are part of how they grew up, right?
Yeah.
How we all grow up. It's how a boy is raised. Whether supporting, being respectful, or otherwise. Children emulate behavior from their environment, from their family, primarily
Absolutely.
parents and family. But my question to you, Shankari, is: are you thinking about? I don't know if you're already doing it, but are you thinking about catching this early? Uh, Talking to younger girls, probably in high school, in college, who are yet to kind of get into these situations, empowering them and making them understand and prepare for these potential transitions. Is it something that you're thinking about? To me, it feels like it's probably a natural extension to what you're doing.
Yes, yes, so true. I have already started because at least once in a week, I sit with my pen and paper and think, what else I can do. Because this is not a business. It's a vision which can bring revolution if it can be
Yeah.
done right. And this is not something which I can do alone. We need a lot of people to make it happen. A much needed change, I would say. So it all starts from schools and colleges. Particularly, probably in schools, I'm not sure how far they can understand, but I think college girls can definitely understand this. Until we are in college, nobody talks about PJ. To be very honest, nobody talks about the tough times we handle during maternity. Nobody talks about the abilities or the things we need to take care of a baby. It takes such a huge effort. It's not an easy thing at all. And even after marriage, nobody talks about it, right? But
Right.
definitely, if they can develop some marketable skills, even when they are in college, instead of just studying for the sake of degree or for the sake of rank, if we can study for to acquire real knowledge, marketable skills during college and schools, I think we will be in a much better position. If I had developed some skills in my college days, I would have definitely pursued it during my break. I need not worry about flexibility. I need not worry about my capabilities, right? But that kind of thinking was not there. At least it was not being talked about. And yeah, I started talking to college students nowadays. So I'm hoping to go and talk a lot about these things, particularly to college girls.
Wonderful, wonderful. And see, this is like you said, this is a movement. A revolution is the word you used, right? And a
Yeah.
movement in a way. There is a lot of forces at play, right? There is women themselves, and then there is the support system. There is the employers, the companies, and then there is the family, there is society, and we need all these forces, all these vectors align towards a certain direction that we desire. Enabling, empowering, educating women early enough and continuing to do that is a push that we are providing. And then there are potentially pulls in other directions which we want to change the vector. Talk to parents-in-law, talk to husbands. Are you also considering kind of sensitizing the support system, creating more favorable environment for women, And I think I'm a big believer in kind of front end loading things, catching things early. From my experience, that's may appear challenging, but I think in the long run, that kind of gives a more stable outcome. As we catch things later and later, it becomes more and more challenging. So using that analogy, are you also considering doing that, catching boys in college, for example, or newly married couple, about to be parents, or even, better late than never, older parents who are current in-laws and so on? So are you talking to the support system, and what kind of response you're getting?
So far, we haven't, speak to the support system. So we haven't done anything in that part. But as you rightly mentioned, it's better to catch and cure this in the early stage. So this gave me an idea that I should not focus just on the girls, but about the guys as well. Because even now, people are educating in Tamil Nadu or in southern states in particular. We need not talk about education. We need not talk about sending a girl to school, but we are still in a position to talk about financial independence. And mostly it starts from if the husband supports, if that guy supports, mostly there won't be any friction, or that majority of the people will be like okay. But yeah, so we are in a point to educate them. So definitely I will consider this. In the older generation, we haven't done anything in that part. But one incident happened, some 6 months back, I guess. So I spoke in an event, in a college event. I addressed around 100 girls. And after the event, I spoke to the HOD of the department. And she was like, the whole point of this platform doesn't sound right to me. So that was her point of view. She was telling that you girls are really lazy. You girls
Hmm.
don't want to take that extra effort, and you are blaming it on motherhood. So
Hmm.
that was her take. As a woman with a solid 30 years of experience, sitting in the most prestigious position of a HOD in a very big college, that was her point of view. And that was, I haven't heard such statements from anybody else. And it was very shocking to me. But that tells the other side of the story. After that statement, right, I started thinking about my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, she worked till 60 years of age, and she didn't take any career break or anything like that. And I have seen a lot of aunties or the mothers in our mother's age group, right? So they were working. They are still working, but something has happened to the women of our age group and our generation. And then the answer is many of them were in a joint family setup previously. So, and they were mostly in government organizations. They had that flexibility, they had that support system, and of course, they were the generation where they went for school. They
For
are
the
the
first
change
time.
makers, actually, yeah, for the first time. So without them, we cannot even talk or normalize the statement of girl education. So as
Right.
they went and did something for the first time, they don't want to compromise on their journey. They don't want to compromise their employment just for the sake of something which happens in the middle. I think that itself takes a lot of salute and the things. But now this generation is also good, I would say, because we are taking a choice of our own, wherein we choose our family over our career for quite some time. I think it's okay to do that. There is nothing wrong in it. It's not being lazy or anything like that. We need not burn the candle from both the ends, right? We need not do
Right.
that. We need not burn the candle from both the ends. And it is not like we need not sound as if we are the embodiment of selfless love. That's not the generation we are talking about. So I think it's not right or wrong. It's all about the choice. But at this point of time, we cannot just leave the legacy behind of our grandmothers and mothers who really went ahead and did something for the first time. So we have to carry this torch, and we have to provide some kind of flexibility. If we have that, definitely, I would say, PJ, we can bring a lot of women back to the workforce. There is a study by Claudia Golden, who is a Harvard economist, and she won her last year. She won her Nobel Prize for economics, and after studying 135 countries' finances about labor force participation, about pay gap, and everything, she has clearly pointed out that it's all about the perception. It's all about the flexibility. If you can give flexibility to women for coping up with the biological change which happens in their life, which is also important, right? So if we can do that, and if we can be much create many more support system, not just in the offices but also at home, we can bring a lot of women back to the workforce. That is the result of her studies. It applies to all the countries, I would say.
No, I think it's fascinating. It's very, very valuable, Shankari. Your perspectives and the way you're kind of putting it across is also very powerful. And I want to explore further. I would say I would put these in three buckets, right? The women themselves, right? And then there is the men in the family, mostly either husbands or partners or brothers, siblings, so to speak. And then there is the previous generation, the elders, so-called elders, the older people. I think this is kind of broadly three buckets. And then there is external, the employers and so on. We'll come to that later. Within the support system, these are the three buckets. And there's a lot of forces at play, but I would say it's defined by one cornerstone. I don't know if it's emotion, but a psychological phenomenon, right? To me, it feels like for women, it's guilt. For the men of the same age, it's insecurity. And for the older people, to me, it feels like it's a sense of redemption. See, if we are able to address the guilt for the women and the sense of insecurity for the men, and give an opportunity for the older people to redeem, because they may be full of regrets, and it could be a cycle of regret and a justification and self betrayal process. So, if we can break the loop and tell them, hey, you've done all these things, but there is an opportunity for you to redeem. For men of the same age, there is an opportunity for you. You don't have to feel insecure. You're partnering. And for women, obviously, you're much more than what you think you are, and you don't need to feel guilty. So I think finding that one thing that that you can tap into to kind of inspire them, right? I think to, help them come out of this rut, so to speak. Does it resonate with you? Is it something consistent with what you've also experienced? Is there anything more than these aspects for these three buckets?
100%. You have put it in a very nice way, PJ, because as you rightly said, for men, it is insecurity means they have been taught or conditioned in a way that if your wife starts working, she will not listen to you. She will have her own mind, and she may not be able to take care of her family well and all those things. But the truth is, if both can work together as a family in both ways, economically as well as emotionally and everything, if both of them can take care of the family, I think it will really help them in the long way. So that kind of understanding and that kind of open communication is other thing, because many think that in their mind and they just don't communicate it to their partner. They just talk about other things, about their relatives, about their children. After a point of time, the only point of discussion will be about children for many couples. They don't talk about their life. They don't share what they feel. If we can engage, or if we can talk a lot about having an open communication, that itself will help the man to understand what his wife is going through, or the wife can understand like what her partner is expecting from her. I have seen a lot of men who really encourages their wife to pursue her dreams. They are so happy when she does something well. They are so proud. That proud feeling, I have seen that proud feeling only with parents before. But after getting into this journey, I have seen a lot of proud eyes, particularly with men. So that can happen. The only thing is we have to take some extra effort in this aspect. And for people who are elders already, they have been trained in this way, and they will understand once you start taking action and once you make it happen. Until then, they may not believe you, or they may ask some harsh questions. But the moment they see that you're 100% involved in what you are doing, I think they will come around. So that's what happened with me. My mother and my father. My father, he will always encourage me, but my mother, she was not so happy. With mothers, it happens. I guess they will start acting like they are the mothers of their grandchildren, and they want at certain point of time, like they will ask every single question to us, like why fever, what happened, what you did, and all those. So my mother was not so happy. But when I think about it, she was the one who put that seed in me, saying that you have to be financially stable. You have to be financially well. You have to do well. You have to have your own money. That thought came from my mother. She only gave it to me. But now, after I became a mother, she thought that I may not be in a good position to take care of my children if I continue working. Right. So the best thing we can do is now, as I went ahead and did what I'm doing now, she's happy now. Just last Saturday only, she mentioned, "Oh my God, I'm so happy that I gave birth to you." That was a
Wow.
line she said, and I don't know what happened to her suddenly. She was not opposing me, but she was not supportive also. She was always asking me questions. Oh, you went for that appointment and all those things. I think that is the mindset with most of the elders. Once they see us grow, they will come around. They will understand that what we are doing is good. It is needed.
True, but it shouldn't have to be. It is too much of a burden for girls to go through that friction, having to you know face that pull, kind of put the extra effort to kind of come out of that pull. um, isn't there a way for them to kind of come out of it on their own? Do they have to wait for the results and outcome to kind of change their minds, or is there?
Probably.
I'm wondering if there is a way for them to, again, catching it early.
Probably after I become a mother-in-law, I can understand, I guess. So we have to wait till then. Until then,
Yeah.
until then, this is how the world is going to operate, PJ. No other way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, it is what is happening. I think we are a very good generation where so many good changes are happening, and in when we become grandfather and grandmother, the game will be kind of different.
Yeah, I'm positive. I feel very hopeful that these are very lasting changes and not just seasonal,
Yeah,
fashionable,
not a
right?
trend.
Not a trend. Correct, absolutely. um, very profound. Can you think of any, if it is okay to share, can you share any of the success stories that you have um, worked with, women you've worked with, that has touched you deeply? Anything that you can share?
Yeah, definitely there are a lot of stories, I would say, but I want to share a few stories wherein before I started Overqualified Housewives, I thought that most of the women, as I mentioned, the main reason may be because of marriage or because of motherhood. But there is another category. They take break because of treatment.
Hmm.
They cannot conceive. They have to undergo some kind of medical treatment and they have to take rest. Else they cannot have a child. So
Hmm.
because of that, so many well capable women are in break, and we happen to help a lot of them to get back to their career. And one more story is she has never taken a break. This girl, she has never taken a break, and she didn't want to take break also. Even after her son was born, she was continuing her job. But then there was a lot of pressure on her, asking her to come to office or giving her extra work, thinking that she may not be accountable. Or
Hmm.
as she's a new mother, she will not. They thought that she's not dependable and they want to send her out in one or the other way.
Wow.
So when she took a break, she was pushed to take a break after her son, delivering her son. And she got an opportunity through us. And doing very well in her job. So that story is another a different kind of story wherein because of few people's perception of a new mother, she was pushed to leave the workforce. And
Hmm.
yeah, there are few more stories wherein this girl she was in break. Actually, she was studying her college degree and got pregnant. Couldn't finish her degree.
Hmm.
After 9 years, she restarted through Overqualified Housewives, and this is her first job.
Wow.
This is another story. Like that, there are a lot of stories. When I read it, when they send, that is why we wanted to showcase them. We wanted to tell their story out, and we started showcasing them, telling their stories out in our social media pages. So that's when
Hmm.
we really come to know about their stories. So these are
Hmm.
the stories of women who have made a career through overqualified housewives. But there are thousands of stories, different stories, waiting to be said, to be heard by all of us. So we hope that we can bring all those stories out.
Wow. Wow. I'd like to go, a little bit into the the logistics of things, right? Firstly, what kind of jobs, what kind of opportunities can you support, and can a girl who is on a break expect to see? Um, because I'm assuming these are all going to be remote, working from home kind of
Yes.
jobs, mostly, right? If not all, because that's where you can kind of transition relatively easier, so you can manage both. And is there a certain kind of job work better, more favorable than others? What have you seen so far?
So we, as a platform, we provide both freelancing and full-time opportunities. So initially, we were focusing only on freelancing, and then we understood there is another side wherein they can contribute that 8 to 9 hours time, and that's why we are supporting both. As you rightly asked, it all depends upon what kind of skills we have and how much time and effort we can put at this point of time. So depending on that, we can choose a skill set and we can upskill ourselves, get some knowledge, get some experience, and then move ahead. I would say that most of the projects or most of the work we have provided so far is into content writing, then graphic designing, digital marketing, social media management, admin operations, and then business development, and then IT, now IT developer, tester, project management, and a lot video editors. So we started training video editors now because we are into content economy, creator economy now, and there are a lot of good opportunities for video editors. So
Wow.
we started upskilling people into video editing. So depending upon, it's not like you have to have this degree or you have to have this skill to get some work here. It's all about the requirements from the businesses and what kind of skills you have. So mostly nowadays there is very good scope for people who are in this content economy.
What kind of employers on the other side? What kind of companies are you see are more open, more favorable for women to re-enter workforce?
Yeah, mostly it is most of the clients are startups and SMEs. They are
Hmm.
much more open-minded than very big companies and MNCs, I would say, because they are looking for the main problem which an employer faces attrition. So after training, after hiring a very good resource, after training that person for a while, because of some or the other reason, they just move to other jobs, right? But here the number is very low. Attrition rate of the resources we gave so far is very low. So because of that, SMEs and startups are much more open-minded to give this kind of a flexibility
Hmm.
and take the accountability in their hand. And yeah, so these are the two categories we are serving. But after our your story coverage, we got covered in a lot of magazines and newspapers this week. We started hearing from some big players as well. Just got a mail from a very big player, but once it has been converted, I will tell you who is that.
Absolutely. No, congratulations on that. It's very good to hear.
Thank
Um,
you.
what would you, from a skill stand, see? There are specific skills that uh, the girls, women develop, or you help them develop. Also, something they might have gone through in through their academic training or otherwise. But what would you say they bring to the table uniquely, considering their circumstances? What are the strengths, the superpowers that they bring to the table as someone who has gone through this transition, who has faced childbirth, or any kind of break, right, for whatever reason? Are you seeing any pattern that they are bringing a certain superpower that others cannot claim to have?
Yeah, so as they are getting these opportunities, if they get an opportunity, they know the value and worth of that opportunity. It is not easily available. So if they are getting qualified for that particular role, they know the importance of that role. And the one thing I noticed in a lot of women employees is if once they understand the vision of the company, they'll be completely onto it and they follow and they take ownership. They are very good team players and they're very committed.
Hmm.
What we have to do is, as an employer, we should give them proper roles and responsibilities and we should tell them clearly what we expect from them. I think that clarity will bring the results.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. What strategies would you suggest? Would you tell women going through this transition of wanting to returning to workforce? What strategies would you tell them to adopt to prepare themselves?
I would say that we have to work on both our skill set as well as mindset because many we focus only on the skill set and we may not pay a lot of attention to the kind of skill to the mindset part. Personally, the things which help me in my way are book reading and listening to podcast is something that made me to understand and see the world in a different way. It even opened my eyes to see the opportunities around rather than seeing just the lack. Because the journey is not going to be easy, PJ, to be very real, to tell the truth. How much ever certifications we do, irrespective of the number of degrees we have, the market might reject us just by seeing the resume. Because that's how the industries are. That's how the market is. So we have to be ready to face the reality. Once, suppose if we are applying for few roles and if we are getting rejected, we shouldn't think that they are rejecting me. I'm not good enough, and that is why they are rejecting me. We just see, understand that we are just one more application to them. They don't know us, right? So that kind of a thing should be there, but we have to keep working on our skills. So it starts right from resume. ATS enabled resume, a very good resume and a cover letter to each and every role we apply. And then for women who are in career break, who are yet to resume back, we cannot completely ignore our career and our dreams. So side by side we can do, though our children are, though the baby is very small, or though we are still carrying the baby, we can think about the next steps. We can take at least 20 to 30 minutes for ourselves and invest our time for our skill set and mindset and see what is happening in the industry where we, you know, the job in which we were doing. So what is happening to that particular industry, where it is going, so we can keep upskilling and we can see what is happening. So this is another thing. Because many women, PJ, what they do is they completely, if they are getting into break, they'll be in that zone only. They'll completely forget about the rest of the world. They don't even mind what is happening outside. So that, if we want to get back one day, we have to keep checking what is happening out. So this is another thing. The main thing is whatever, how much ever prepared we are, anyway, the field is not so easy. But if we hold that persistence and if we keep trying, definitely there is a place for us. That's what we want to, make it happen in Overqualified Housewives, wherein we make this journey a little easier for our women so that they need not face that many rejections outside, right? So
Right.
that's it.
Great. And obviously, you are talking a lot to the women who are looking for opportunities or who are, thinking about getting back to workforce. Um, did you have to sensitize on the other side, on the employer's side? Is there campaigns that you run, or do you have material that you share? How do you educate them to? This is not a standard stream of candidates that generally companies would go after. No
Mhm.
companies would, not many companies would deliberately go after women who are on break. There have
Yes.
been companies like PayPal, for example, and Freshworks, the company that I worked for. They actually did campaigns for women to return to workforce, and hiring campaigns that they did. But not many companies do that. Some companies do that. Particularly smaller companies, it's not something that's on top of their mind. So, um, two things. One, how do you create awareness from the employer's side? Two, once you start engaging, do you educate them? Is there something that you tell them that approach this hiring differently? It is not your conventional hire, it is unconventional, it is non-linear, but these are the benefits. So how do you what conversation do you have with them?
That's a very good question. So at least the clients we handled so far, as it's they know that this platform is little different. It's not like the other hiring platform, so they know that they value flexibility without even us telling them that we need flexibility for sure and all those. They themselves tell us that the working hours is 9 hours, but they can go pick their kid, they can take break. By the end of the day, they have to finish the work. So they are having that idea, as we have clearly mentioned what we are doing. So initially in the first call itself, we will tell them that these are flexible work options and our women are good. They have that expertise, but these are the things wherein you may have to work in a different way. For example, even in few of the companies, if suppose if it is a very small enterprise, like MSMEs and startups, there won't be many people. Even the CEO or the one who has to give who has to give the task will not be available many days. So in that case, what will happen and all those things we talk a little bit, but so far we haven't done any campaign or something like that. They themselves understand that overqualified housewives is a little bit different, and they are providing that flexibility, I would say. Even recently, one of the one of the women who joined back workforce through us, she was facing some health issues, and the company was very open to give her leaves based on that, and they were not cutting her salary. And they are understanding if we work well. That is also there. If the women are delivering to what they have to deliver, then the companies are also happy giving the things they need.
Wonderful. And see, when I think about this transition, particularly for women who have taken break for more than, I would say, 5 years or longer, um, culture changes, right, in companies. Or maybe they had worked for a larger enterprise global organization. Now they are getting into a startup. Um, how are they dealing with change in culture? How, whether it is team dynamics, whether it is how a manager or a supervisor treats them. um, have you heard of any challenges with women struggling to adapt to a new work culture? And how do you support them? And also, how do you also sensitize
So,
the other side? So the teams also need to be a little bit more understanding about their coworker who is returning to workforce. So how do you, is it something that you've faced or dealt with?
okay. So we haven't faced a lot of things in this regard, but anyways, we have seen a fair share of people wherein they worked in big MNCs. So when we work in big MNCs, a task will be given. So we will be restricted to a particular set of roles and responsibilities. It's not like working in a startup, right? So in startup, everybody will be doing something. It's not
Right.
like you have to do only this. So even in our own company, in our own team, irrespective of their position or irrespective of their designation, they may have to take up some added responsibility when it has to happen, right? So when there is a requirement, they have to be open-minded to take up that, and they have to understand that they have to understand that they are working for this mission. So when I was working in a very big MNC, I never thought about the CEO or the founder, the vision, mission, nothing. Nothing was there in the mind. All I cared was,
The task.
am I the task? And the only person whom I can think about is my manager. Okay, is my manager okay with the kind of work I'm doing? And I had no clue about how my work impacted the company. But when we work in a small concern, it's a very different equation. Here, our work directly impacts the company. The company will be they will be a growing company, so we will be driving the growth along with them. Our pay is directly related proportional to the amount of turnover or revenue they generate in so many companies. They will be in the core team. So in that regard, the kind of mindset, it has to be different, and few people find it difficult to adopt in the beginning stages, but I think they will understand. They understood once they started working in that. But so far, people, particularly women, are much more adaptable because in their life, all they do is to adopt throughout.
Well said. Well said. And these companies that you work with, are they all based in India, or you also work with companies elsewhere globally?
Mostly from India. Uh, few are from US. So mostly from India.
Okay. Okay. And I see that there is a trend for particularly for US and European companies to hire virtual assistants, not AI assistants, but
Yeah,
virtual,
yeah.
real person virtual assistants who is supporting them from Philippines or Mexico or Indonesia or even India. So I was wondering if that's a space that you have explored, is
Yeah,
beginning to see
we
some
we
traction.
did we did we got some opportunities from I think it was from Germany, and then one more from US, and the competition was huge, I would say. They preferred, I think, finally they hired a person from Philippines. They thought that it's budget friendly
Hmm.
than hiring an Indian.
Yeah.
So that is what that is why we are not. And the other thing is there are a lot of other complications as well when we onboard. There will be most of these women are not open for
Night
night
shifts.
working, yeah, night shifts. They won't
Right.
be open
Hmm.
for doing that. So for when we have to work for countries, other countries, then that there is a concern.
Hmm.
So hence we are mostly operating with clients from India, but we have women across the globe.
Hmm.
Even last month we onboarded a girl. She is working from UK to
Hmm.
an Indian company. So like that,
Wow.
we have given opportunities for Indians who are in other parts of the world as well.
Fantastic. This is wonderful. And in terms of skills, we talked about skill sets, having to develop and constantly keep developing new skills and being aware of what's happening in the world and all of that. Um, see, being aware, staying up to date with news and culture and opportunities is one thing, but developing a skill requires some level of discipline, rigor, and commitment, and in many cases, financial commitment too. Right? Um, are women open to making that commitment when they are still not sure if they are going to return to workforce, if they return to workforce, what the opportunity is going to be? So do you give confidence to women like that, or you recommend them to kind of stick to more, resources are available, learning resources are available, but when it comes to certifications, for example, credentials, they require money and financial commitment. So do you see women being able to, I mean, kind of being open to making that kind of investments during this phase?
This is where this is where most women struggle, PJ, because they are okay, or they don't think twice when they have to invest money on their children, but they will think a lot if they have to do something for their own purpose, and particularly for upskilling and things. Many women are not so open minded to upskill themselves by paying money, investing. They don't see that as an investment. They think that it is an unwanted expense. If we can bridge this gap, this skill, most of the times it is not just about the opportunity gap, it is also about the skill gap. We do have good opportunities around. We do have good flexible work options and companies. We are not making ourselves ready to meet to that standard. And for
Mm.
that, we have to invest our time, money, and effort. These three things I always tell to our women. Whenever I speak to them, I always tell you have to invest your time, money, and energy on you.
Mm.
Only then you will be in a position to attract good opportunities. You need not go and run behind people. Opportunities will come and find you if you enable yourself. So people are yet to get into that zone, but once they decide, that's why we started conducting skill development programs wherein they need not invest a lot of money. They just have to spend 199 rupees
Mm.
and they can understand what that particular industry is doing, or what is happening, and how they can get into that industry, how they can equip themselves to meet to that standards and everything. So that will give an idea, and once they get an idea and once they feel that they have to get into it, they will invest that money on themselves. But
Right.
yeah, it's still a long way to go in this regard. But I hope women will understand and they will invest their money on themselves.
Yeah, I do too, and it's very important. So in doing this, right, this is a movement, like you rightly called. This is a revolution. This requires all hands on deck, right? Like you mentioned, Shankari alone cannot make this change, and however compelling a change maker you are, you need support. And overqualified housewives alone cannot do it. The world has to come together for it, right? um, at least to start with, like-minded people need to come together for it. Do you how can a like-minded individual who can contribute to your cause? See, it's a bit tricky because yours is not a non-profit. You can call it as
Yes.
a social enterprise, a for-profit social enterprise. Is probably the closest way I can describe it. Do you partner with, first of all, do you partner with other individuals or companies? Do you have partnerships, strategic partnerships with with other entities? One, two. If there is somebody, individual or an organization, whether it is an NGO or a for-profit company, interested in being part of this movement, where do they start?
We have partnered with few, but we restrict our partnership to a degree because we don't want to be, you know, we don't want to dilute what the voice of overqualified houses. Like we don't want to dilute the mission statement of this. That's why we haven't. So once we inform others that we are partnering with this particular organization, then that organization will also be considered as a integral part of overqualified housewives. So we want to be very clear about whom we are partnering with. That is why we haven't partnered with a lot of people, lot of organizations, but we do have partnered with a lot of individuals.
Hmm.
So far, we have conducted around 35, more than 35 programs, skill development programs, which happens every week, and we call different experts from different fields, and none of them have charged us anything. They come out of, I have just asked them, like, can you come and share your knowledge? And they're very open to do that, just to give back.
Hmm.
I think with that kind of things, many people have contributed. But regarding the organizations, we are little bit. I think still we are very small. We have to grow into a certain extent. Then we can, think about some big partnerships, and that message has to be very clear. So that is why we are yet to do that. But this year we are planning to do
Hmm.
probably by the by end of this year we'll be getting into some strategic partnerships.
Hmm. Hmm. And how do you see? There's a lot of work. This is very intense, uh, and a lot of work to make this happen. Um, how do you measure success? What is success for you? Do you have any specific metrics? Obviously, you're very successful. You mentioned about very low attrition in women you have placed. Is there anything else that you look back and say, "Hey, yes, we are doing right. We are doing well," and this is how I see it.
Success to me, in particular, I would say the kind of impact we can create, the the amount of impact we can create is what I see as success. So far we were able to impact a lot of people, at least though they haven't get back to the workforce. At this mission gave them that thought that they can do once they are ready. There is an opportunity available. So I see that as a success. Whenever, I think I have to tell this, PJ, I'm yet to figure out what is success for me. I'm yet to understand who is Shankari Sudhar as a person. I'm still a work in progress. I think there are a lot of big things which we can make it happen. I personally can. I totally believe that I can do a lot more than what I'm doing now. So I'm just seeing this process, just being in the process and doing what is necessary itself is a success for me.
Wonderful, wonderful, and I'm sure that uh, we're all work in progress, Shankari, right? And that's the reality of it. If we believe that we've figured it out, then there will be a jolt of reality, a kick in the butt we'll get, and then we'll go back to, yes, I'm still figuring it out more. So But it's good that you're enjoying the process, right? And that's giving you joy, that's giving you meaning. uh, and this is something, I don't know if you've heard of this Japanese term called ikigai. Ikigai is
Yeah.
you're familiar with that, yeah. So you found your ikigai. It's you're doing what you find joyful, what's meaningful to you. You're doing what comes well for you. The world is paying for it. There is a big need, so I think it's beautiful that this has all come together. And yeah, that itself is success, right? But obviously, I'm sure that the impact that you make is only going to grow bigger and bigger, because this is a real problem. This is a big opportunity. This is impactful. Thank you so much, Shankari. There's just a couple of
Thank you,
more things that
PJ.
I'm going to ask you, and then we can wrap up. Okay, just uh, how do you see overqualified housewives? I know you said you're still figuring it out, but how do you see it evolving in the next, I don't know, not too far in the future, but maybe a couple of years, 2, 3 years?
Okay. Um, I feel that what we need is a lot more examples. Women need a lot of examples in front of their eyes to, move ahead. Because when, it's a simple thing. When I Google for some self-made entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, or whenever I Google about some Indian C-suite women leaders, we can count the number of people who made it on their own without any family backup. I think that tells the story behind whatever we spoke till now. We need to show our future generation, also this generation, a lot of examples. And that's where we want overqualified housewives to evolve in terms of mentorship, in terms of guidance and mentorship, in terms of creating more business owners. In fact, creating overqualified housewives as a self-sustaining ecosystem, wherein if we create a lot of women entrepreneurs from this crowd, and if those women entrepreneurs can employ these women, then the entire platform can sustain on its own, and we can think about increasing this women entrepreneurs to the taking these women entrepreneurs to the next level, and that will result in employing a lot more. And this model can be taught, and many organizations can adopt this. Many people will come forward and do the same. So that's where we want to take it, probably the next few years. And we already started working on this, enabling, trying to find some good, trying to find some enterprising women who want, not to say it's just yes boss, who want to create something of their own. Because there is a study which says that women entrepreneurs employ women, a lot of women, and companies with women leaders in C-suite or as a CEO is much more inclusive and diverse.
Hmm.
So I think the answer is there. So we want to create an ecosystem.
Wonderful. And wonderful. It's very powerful to hear it. I think I'm sure you will get there. The last question, I think I will shut up after this. Um, if you had to pick one thing, Shankari, uh,
Mhm.
what would that be? What is the most rewarding aspect of what you do that keeps you going?
Having a purpose of my own itself is a big deal for me as an individual, because I am a person who always thought about not just growing on my own, but also, growing together. So this kind of mindset was there right from my childhood. I always spoke. If now when I go back and think, I've always spoke about women empowerment, giving rights to women, all those things I used to speak before. not after starting Overqualified Housewives. So now pursuing this purpose, doing this day in and day out itself is so fulfilling for me. And now when I wake up in the morning every day, I'm not just waking up for doing some work or something like that. I am waking up to do a part which is very much needed in this world, I would say. I think I have identified my gift given by the universe or God or whomever. So that itself is a big deal for me. Identifying why I am born, probably, I think this is the moment. But of course, as a person, I'm just 30 years old, so still time is there. But at least I've identified one of my gifts where I can give back or I can use to uplift and to do few things which will impact people at least in a smaller way. So that is a very big thing for me.
Wonderful. Yeah. And you say you're still work in progress. You still are, but I think how many people can claim I'm uh, I'm still figuring out what my purpose is. Probably I'm almost there, but yeah, it took much longer to me than what it has taken to you. It's beautiful finding your purpose, finding that meaning early, and being able to work on it, being able to take action and commit yourself to that path is wonderful. This is a very audacious path you've taken, and something that has extraordinary levels of challenges and struggles, not just for your community, but for you also to be able to kind of see them through those challenges and changes. I'm sure you're getting the help you need, and I wish you all the support and help for you to see it through, and wish you all the success also, Shankari. And thank you so much for being in this conversation. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I am inspired, and if there is any way I can support you, I would love to be part of this movement too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, PJ, for having this in-depth conversation because I speak to a lot of people and only with few speakers we'll be thinking about. So you made me to think a lot about what I have started, right? So that itself is a very nice thing, and I wish you all success to change a lot more lives. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you,
The
PJ. My best
pleasure is mine.
wishes.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.